Welcome to the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. We're going to explore ways to sharpen our diagnostic skills, find learning resources, and hear from experts in the automotive field. Hey, have you ever been faced with the challenge of sourcing, installing, and programming a used control module in a vehicle? I know a lot of us have. It seems to be happening more and more often today with the volume of control modules on vehicles, the cost of some new ones, or even the availability of new control modules. In some cases, used may be the only option. So what do you do here? I strongly recommend checking out SJ Auto Solutions and Tomi Oliva. Tomi offers a cloning service for used control modules to make these things plug and play for the vehicle that you're working on. In a lot of cases, he is also able to source the control modules if you're unable to locate one for the vehicle that you're working on. But once you get connected with Tomi, he's going to offer fantastic support from start to finish to make sure that that control module is going to work in your application. He's also got tech support that he offers through his website, along with some free resources there as well on information about used control module programming. So make sure to check out SJ Auto Solutions. I can't recommend that enough. This episode is brought to you by L1 Automotive Training and Keith Perkins. If you're looking for education on module programming, J2534, EEPROM work, key and immobilizer, electrical diagnostics, or drivability diagnostics, Keith has a website, l1training.com, that's got over 60 hours of training videos on all those subjects and more. When I first started out doing mobile, I utilized Keith's videos on module programming in J2534 in order to get my head wrapped around what I would need for the tooling, the computers, the software setups, what kind of obstacles I would be up against when I'm out there programming modules on cars. And it was a huge benefit to me. And I continue to use the training videos that he has on his website. So I strongly recommend checking out l1training.com. Hey, what's going on, automotive world? Welcome to another episode of the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. My name is Sean Tipping, and I'll be your host once again for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. On the show today, I've got Tomi Oliva. You know Tomi. If you don't, check out some of the many earlier episodes of this podcast that he's been on. Most of the time when Tomi joins me on the show, he's going to talk about keys or programming or mobile work or something related to a technical aspect of what we're doing in our day-to-day technician lives. Today, we're going to go a little bit left field here, but I think it's equally as important. We're going to talk about your health. And the reason why I think this is important is because, there are human beings behind the repair, behind the technician, right? We're all humans and we all struggle with different things, a lot of them relating to our health and our well-being, right? And if you don't have those things, if you're sick and injured, doing this job becomes very difficult, if not impossible. And I've had a few episodes on the podcast before about exercise and diet and things like that. But the bottom line is if you want to be your best, you need your health to be in the best possible place. And so that's the topic today. And really, Tomi is going to very openly and candidly share his story relating to health and specifically weight loss and the food that we consume on a daily basis and the things that he's gone through. It's a real personal story, and I really do appreciate him coming on and sharing this. I can relate to some aspects of it, but the hope would be that anyone else out there listening that struggles with something similar can get some benefit out of Tomi's journey. And if nothing else, just to help make you aware of what you're putting in your body on a day-to-day basis, and at least consider what this food is and what it might be doing to your body or doing for your body. But anyways, I believe this is a really valuable discussion to have and things to think about for everyone in this industry. So with that out of the way, let's jump in. Everybody can have their, opinions one way or another, and that's totally fine. But a lot of times it comes down to like, what have you seen in your own life and what makes sense for you? And a lot of this stuff, man, you see it firsthand with yourself and with so many people. You're like, wow.
I'll talk about my own journey, man.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. And I can share mine too. Actually, if you want to get going, I'm gonna send you a picture. I gotta find it though. But start off
fat or something.
Oh, dude, So I discovered Doritos, Mountain Dew, and Nintendo 64 all in the same summer, like 96 or whatever that was, and that was game over for me, man. Like, I was on a very bad path as a young kid, very unhealthy, and had some, health problems pop up then when I'm younger than 15 years old, because it's just sitting in front of the TV playing video games, shoving what some
Garbage.
people wouldn't even consider food into my mouth.
That's not food, man. That's fucking garbage.
Yeah. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere on my phone, but I have too many pictures on here. But I was a chubby little kid, and really unhealthy too.
Like most American kids.
Yes. Right. You get locked into video games, which I definitely did for a long time. And I was not the most active kid. Like, I was never good at sports. I didn't have that natural coordination. So I was really bad at everything I tried. I'd have to really give it some effort to get good at it, but I didn't figure that out until I was much older, that's how that worked. And so I just gave up on anything I wasn't good at, and I was good at video games. So I kept going with that one. And I think I'm trying to think of what grade I was in. That probably would have been 6th grade or so, where like very, very unhealthy, and I didn't move. I didn't do anything. I'm eating junk. And unfortunately for me, unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, kids are assholes. And I got made fun of a lot, and to the point where a little 6-year-old Sean doesn't know any different. Like, I hated myself because of it. And that's what sent me on the path way back then of losing weight and not being what I was, and not a healthy way to go about it, because that doesn't do good things for your psyche as you get older. But
no, not at all.
It did change my trajectory as far as where I'm at today. And I'd like to think I've become more healthy about the mindset around it as I've gotten older. But yeah, it was a rough period for me, for sure. But yeah, I'm in a much better place now, and I actually enjoy the things that I do centered around health.
Yeah, so, man, I was always fat, man. Sorry, my voice, I don't know, I'm coming down with something, but I was always fat. Always, since I can remember, I was chunky. But my biggest issue was always like, a lot of people tend to say genetics or whatever. I don't know, right? But what I do know is that my mom always cooked. We never ate out during that time frame, and I was just chunky. But I did feel that I ate too much, because I would have breakfast, I would go to school, and I'd have snacks, then school lunch, and so for me, I'm like, well, I'm fat. I'm fat. It's just it wasn't so much that, but when I was younger, it was bad. I mean, I went to public school here in Chicago, man. Our kids were brutal.
Hmm.
So what I remember was I was a really violent kid. Like I hated being picked on. So I would just start throwing shit or hitting or whatever. So I actually got kicked out of preschool.
Oh wow.
But it worked out because we were moving at the time. So we ended up moving. We used to live on like the north side of Chicago, and then we ended up moving to the northwest side of Chicago. And it was very interesting growing up there because at the time the influx of Hispanics wasn't as great, but there were some racist white gangs. So they would see a bunch of little Hispanic kids coming in. They would chase us around and throw shit at us, and go to school, and they'd pick on us, and like it was kind of rough. And when I was I want to say like in seventh grade. Not when I got to that school, I started kindergarten. Well, my dad was like, "Man, you get kicked out of the school, I'm shipping you to Guatemala with your grandma." So I was on my best behavior, and they would make fun of me, and I would just ignore them, or I would tell the teacher, and then the teacher would say just ignore them. Typical same shit.
Hmm.
So then I think by second grade I was crying like every day in school, like literally, like might have been first grade, but like first second grade around that time I was just crying every day. And I remember one time I was so angry. I was so angry, but they kept picking at me, and then I remember I was just like bawling my eyes out right outside of my pod. And the security guy comes up. He's like, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" And I'm basically muttering that I'm tired of them making fun of me because I'm fat and I don't want to be fat no more. And I might have even said like I don't even want to live no more. And just you're a kid and you just have all these emotions.
Yeah.
And I grew up a Hispanic kid, man. Like we're told like you don't complain about anything, blah blah blah. Men don't talk about their feelings. Men don't cry. So then I go and sit down, and the security guard was really older gentleman. He's like, "Look, man," he's like, my day we used to just take them out back and beat them, but he's like, times are changing, and I know you can't do that no more. But he's like, if I give you some advice, man, why don't you just start making fun of people back? Just don't defend yourself. You can't physically fight them, then just make fun of them. And I'm like, well, I don't know how. He's like, see, you're focused on you not being perfect, but the reality, like, not everybody's perfect. We all have something,
Yeah.
right? The problem is you're an easy target because you're sensitive. He's like, so start making fun of them back. So he's like, so I'm like, I don't know what to say. He's like, okay, well then just when you go back to your class, just sit down on a piece of paper and then just start writing down jokes. So when they tell you something, now you know what to do. So that's the reason why I'm witty,
Okay.
is because that's what I had to do. Like and it was to a point where I was in high school, and I carried that with me, where if I met you for the first time, I would be like, okay, so he's short, he's ugly, he's bald, he's chunky, he got man boobs. Like, okay, boom, 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 boom. So I'm quiet, but in my head, I'm already like, so as soon as you tell me something, whack,
Yeah.
I hit you with that haymaker, and you leave me alone.
Sure. You're on the
So
defense.
it's always like, and even to this day, like it's taken a lot for me to like not be like that. And I always talk about like Vision. My first time in Vision was not only a great accomplishment for me industry wise, but personally wise, because I didn't want to go to any event, like especially like I don't know anybody. I was absolutely terrified. So like it's funny because like I, I get to the point where it's just like, man, like I look back at it and I was like, well, should I have lost the weight instead of um learning how to defend myself, or did I do the right thing? Because I'll tell you what, man, like I carried this all my life. I mean, I'm still fat. I'm still obese. I'm better about my health now. I'm more health conscious for sure, but I'm definitely been on a journey, man, that a lot of people take for granted, or a lot of people just don't really know or don't really care.
Yeah, it's tough if you haven't experienced something like that to really understand, what it's like, yeah, especially to be singled out as a kid for something like that. It's awful. It's
It was horrible, man. Like it wasn't even just the only. I remember the only people that never really made fun of me were my parents. But man, it was everybody. I had older brothers that aren't my parents, like they're stepbrothers
okay.
basically from my dad, and they were older. Like I was 6 years old. My older brother was 18. No, my older brother was 20 something. My second oldest brother was like 18, 19 years old. Like he's only 12 years older than me. So man, like they were horrible. Like they would just like they would look at me and be like, "Man, you got titties, you got this, you got that." And yeah, to this day, man, I can't. If I go to a pool, man, I gotta wear a shirt. I can't go to the beach. I'm in a shirt. Like I just can't. Like they literally like they they've emotionally, mentally scarred me
It
that I just can't do it
it
anymore.
it's a very tough thing, and I honestly resonate with a lot of the things you're saying. Like those sort of comments made to you when you're a little kid, it is so tough to break that mental pattern of what you think about yourself. Even if you understand like those kids were saying those things because they were insecure. Okay, I get that now that I'm an adult. It doesn't change like how it formed your opinions of yourself. And I still struggle with it to this day. I mean, same thing. Like just thinking about like like it's stupid. It's when I really think about it, it's so stupid, right? I'm almost a 40-year-old man. Who the hell cares if I have like a beer gut or whatever? But like that stuff just fucking locked in, and
Well, and to me, it became also like an fu point because when I was in high school, I was fat again. Like, so a lot of people don't know that I was a senior when 9/11 hit, and I went to a very like probably the biggest school in Illinois, and we had a graduating class of about 1,000 kids. There was about 4,500 kids and faculty and staff at one time in that school. So I had like by senior year I had maybe 50, 60 friends, close friends that I have met over the years. And 40 of them, 40 plus of them went to the military and except for 3 of us. And I was one of them. Well, I didn't when I was in high school, man, I cared to a point, but it didn't bug me as much and people really weren't as mean
mhm.
to me. Like, yeah, I caught the occasional joke, but by the time I got to high school, I was a violent kid. I mean, I grew up in a really shitty area, so I was forced to learn how to fight, man. So you said something I didn't like, we would fight. I mean, that was it. So going back to like me being fat, I lost weight that summer. Like I lost 60 pounds, and I went in and I'm like, you know what, man? Like I want to join the military. I'm like, but I don't want to be a grunt. I don't want to join the army. I'm too fat for an airplane. So Navy it is, and I've always liked the ocean. I wouldn't mind being on a boat.
Mhm.
I scored really high on my ASVAT. My recruiter was like, hey, we can do this or that, but you need to lose more weight. And I had just lost 60 pounds, and they sucked. I'm like, dude, I just lost 60 pounds. They're like, dude, we can't take you. This is your BMI is you're still 30 pounds overweight. I'm like, yeah, well then well, arrivederci. And even after that, like I went to so during my high school, I was too. I was about even like my even during eighth grade high school, I was in the 180 range, 170, 160s. So I was fat for my height at the time, but I stretched when I got to my junior year and I lost weight at the same time. So I went down to like 200 pounds, and I was you know wearing like a 2X shirt. Like I wasn't lean, but I was pretty thin. And the heaviest I got was I think about 250 something, almost 260 is the heaviest I got. And I for my height right now, I'm supposed to be weighing 180 pounds. Yeah, good fucking luck. It's not gonna happen. But when I decided to do I mean, I had to work full time. I had to work full time, and I was going to school full time. And UTI was about an hour away from my house, and I started in the morning, so I had to leave obviously an hour before class to get there on time, and I had to get up even earlier to get ready. Blah blah blah. And man, it was nothing but fast food and garbage that whole for the whole 2 years of UTI. Man,
Yeah.
it was. I'm not a coffee guy, so it was sodas. It was whatever I can to stay awake. And by the time I left UTI, dude, I was like 300 pounds, man. No, I'm sorry. I was like 280 ish. Yeah, I was about in the 280 range.
Okay.
And I never went down there again. This was, I graduated UTI in 2004, moved to Florida, and I was right around between the 280s to the 300 range. And I stayed like that for a long time. And next thing you know, like, again, like, there's things that happen to you in your life, and you just don't pay attention to them. And I don't know if it's a man thing or if it's a human thing or if it's just one of those like whatever thing. But yeah, man, for most of my 20s, I was hovering around between 350 and 380. I had lost some weight, gained some weight, so my late 20s were that much. And the next thing you know, bro, I ballooned, man. I ballooned. I was going through a lot of stuff with the shop, the economic collapse. Like, it was just bad. I was in a really bad place, and I had gotten diagnosed with sleep apnea. And I knew I've had it since I've had it since I went on vacation with my dad right after high school.
Mm-hmm.
And he woke me up in the middle of the night. We shared a hotel room, and he woke me up freaking out because I stopped breathing.
Oh, jeez.
So, I just like, whatever, man. I don't give a shit. Of course. But the next thing you know, I'm like ballooning weight. I can't figure it out. I went to go have a sleep study because I made a mention to my doctor at the time, and he was like, that could be probably why you're gaining weight. Because I mean, I've worked on cars. I've always been active per se. Yeah, they say work doesn't count, but the next thing I know, I go get the sleep study done, and I'm just like, I don't want to wear this stupid ass mask. And I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, people ask you, how do you live with yourself, or how do you know? But dude, I was 650 pounds. I couldn't walk. From I couldn't walk 10 feet without stopping.
Well.
The amount of fucking people staring at me and talking shit, and it was bad. And to this point, as an adult, I didn't give a shit. I was like, well, whatever, man. Y'all didn't pay for this fat, so fuck you. I didn't ask none of you guys. But like, dude, that was bad. Like my sleep apnea was so bad at that weight. I was waking up on the dot every hour and a half choking.
Because it's like pressure on your throat, right?
So according to my sleep doctor, right? My sleep doctor says there's a lot of people have a genetic form of sleep apnea.
Okay.
And according to him, because of where my numbers are, my sleep apnea is genetic. Like I literally have some sort of issue with my esophagus.
Okay.
And it just what it is again, I'm not a doctor, but what I remember, your weight keeps your esophagus shut.
Mm.
So it obviously you're sleeping, and again, I'm pretty sure I'm butchering this, but from what I know is that some people genetically have that your air tube's smaller, and some people, because of the weight. So for me, it's both. Like, it's already small. All this weight on me doesn't help me. So basically, in the middle of the night, I stop breathing. So my brain never goes into sleep mode, because it's consistently waking me up. I might not feel awake, but in my mind, like the REM sleep, I never get it.
Right.
So that lowers your metabolism, like a lot.
I've talked to some people that got diagnosed with that and then started wearing the mask, and they're like, I never realized what a good night's sleep was, dude, until I got one of these things on me.
So I don't even have a CPAP machine. I have a BiPAP machine. My machine helps me breathe in and out.
Okay.
That's how bad my sleep at. Like, there's a range of points, right? Most people who have who need a CPAP machine, they're, I believe, between 4 to 12, something like that. It's like a measure of events or something like that. Dude, I'm at 27 on this range. It's yeah, I'm on the high end. Well, I don't know where I'm at now. I think I might have to go back since I've lost so much weight since I had my sleep study.
Okay.
But at that point in time, I had a really I had been going to a doctor to get gastric surgery, and I kept gaining weight, so they dropped me from the program. And I was just like, at that point, I was like, dude, this is it, you know. And my dad took over the shop again, and I was just in a really bad place. And you know, but I would still go to work every day, man. And I tell this to a lot of people, but realistically, being that fat is really what made me such a good diet guy. And you're like, well, how, right?
Yeah,
Well,
I want to hear how.
all right. So let's say, for example, like I didn't have the best skills, but I understood electricity. I knew how to read service information, so I fixed cars. But it would take me longer than I would like because I still had like the old school mentality of looking at cars. Check this, check that, look at this, look at that. Well, dude, it was hard for me to move around. It was hard for me to go underneath a car.
Yeah.
So, dude, I would literally spend a whole hour looking at a wiring diagram or looking at the system, reading service information. Okay, hey, I found that junction 11 is here. Why don't I just take this little panel here real quick and I'll check this wire right here?
Sure.
So that helped me develop a game plan that involves not being as invasive to a car. Because you know there's techs who will just like
Start
boom, boom,
ripping
boom,
and
boom, boom.
tearing. Yeah.
So I decided, oh, and at this point I'm on blood pressure medications. I'm on two diabetes medications, and I was just counting the days till I croaked, man. So fast forward, my doctor left. I got a new doctor, and he was very good with me. He's just like, man, he's like, you know, write down everything that you eat, bring it back to me. I'll see you next week. I did it. He's like, okay, and he's like, all right, all you have to do is take this, and then you're done. So I did it. I took this. I stopped doing this. I stopped doing that. I stopped eating this. I stopped eating that. And I lost 40 pounds, and they approved me for the surgery. Day of surgery, I was 610 pounds.
Okay.
I lost 95 pounds the first month after surgery.
Wow.
And I went on a mission, man. I lost from 650, I went down to 350.
Holy cow.
Yeah, by 2016, I was at 350 pounds. I had emergency surgery. Had my gallbladder took a shit, and I kind of went back to my habits, man. I was really proud of myself. I got out of surgery. I got the shop back. I turned it into a repairs facility, but things were going really south. Things weren't going well, and I started noticing that I'm creeping up and creeping up and creeping up in weight. And I won't forget this day. I was sitting in a car, and I'm like, I'm breathing heavy. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? Whew. And then I feel my heart racing a bit. I'm just like, whatever. I just maybe it was something I ate or whatever. I don't know. Get back to the shop, nothing. I eat later that day. And dude, like I'm feeling. I couldn't explain. I told my wife, man, I don't feel well. I don't feel well. I'm like, this is, you know. She's like, and the next thing I know, I get this surge of adrenaline, and I'm like, oh crap, something's wrong with me. I told her something's wrong with me. I'm like, something's wrong. She's like, you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, yeah, let me go to the hospital. 4 hours at the ER, nothing. Okay, no problem. A couple weeks go by. The next day, I remember I was pushing a snowblower around, and next thing you know, I felt like a pinch in my arm, and next thing you know, like I felt my heart beating through his chest, and I'm just like, I screamed to my wife, "Take me to the hospital! I'm having a heart attack." And I'm like, well, what the hell? Like, what, and I'm over there. She's like, "Can you hurry up? Can you hurry up?" She's like, "It's okay. You're gonna be fine. You're okay. You're okay." And I'm just like, dude, like it's this whole rush of energy. Like it was such a weird sensation. I had no idea what was going on.
Right. That's scary.
Go to the hospital, same shit. And they see me, and then I tell them, hey, I have a chest pain, I have this, I have that, and they're like, yeah, come on,
Yeah.
nothing. So it's like, dude, what the hell? Go see my primary. I tell them what's going on. All right, you were really obese. Let's get you checked out. Let's do a stress test. Let's check your levels. Blah blah blah. I got nothing. Perfect. No issues. Stress test. Nothing at all. And I felt a little better, but I kept having this weird sensation, these weird feelings. And I told the doctor, listen, man, this is what's going on with me. But by this time, I had already figured out because of I went to Vision and I ran into an ice storm
Okay.
and I wigged out. I know that now, but I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I get to the hotel to check in, dude. I'm shaking in tears.
Huh.
I'm shaking in tears. I took my guy with me, my employee, and he's trying to comfort me. And I think the sad part is looking back, everybody around me knew what was wrong with me except for me. And he's trying to calm me down, and I'm just like, what's wrong with me? And one of our industry friends, Tim, was there, and he calls me and he's like, dude, what's wrong with you? I'm like, bro, I have no. He's like, hey man, go outside, in and out, in and out. I'm like, whew. I'm like, bro, what's wrong with me? He's like, dude, you're having anxiety attacks, man.
Okay.
Like for real, dude? He's like, yeah, dude, you're having a panic attack. Like, well, shit, man, I've never had them. He's like, yeah, he started, obviously I'm not going to go into the detail, but he was really helpful and really insightful on his own struggles and stuff.
Okay.
When I realized I'm having anxiety, that's when I saw my doctor, and he put me on a medication. But what I didn't tell you guys is that when I was trying to lose weight, they put me on this med, and it made me really suicidal.
Oh.
And ever since then I was just like, nah, man, like there's something wrong with me. I need to figure it the hell out. Well, one of the biggest side effects of gastric surgery is your body, your stomach, because you reduce it.
Yeah.
Your stomach actually, makes nutrients. It takes in your food and uses your nutrients, metabolizes them, and turns it into.
Sure.
Your stomach is also a factory.
Mm-hmm.
So because I reduced it, my vitamin absorption went down as well. So I can't absorb as much vitamins from food, so I need to take supplements.
Okay.
I never took them.
Okay.
My vitamin D was through the floor. My vitamin B was through the floor. Those are the two biggest ones. So I remember at Vision, he had told me that my vitamin levels were low, and then I'm just like, and I Googled and I just went straight to CVS and I started taking some stuff. It was a rough one. I'm not gonna lie. I kept having anxiety, but now that I knew what I had, now it's time to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time in my life, man, dude, I did so much, man. Like this was 2019. From the beginning, my major panic attack, I consider it, was January of 2019.
Okay.
By September, I had done all these tests. I even had a cardiac MRI because I was obese and I kept complaining about chest pains and stuff like that, and my doctor just wanted to be sure.
Yep.
And we did a cardiac MRI, which is basically I get an MRI of my heart while it's under a stress. Like they medically induce stress on your heart to elevate your heart rate.
Okay.
And they did an MRI of my heart structure and everything else, and they were like, dude, you're totally healthy. Like,
Okay.
you can rule it out. So I felt better, and I'm like, okay, I started eating better. I noticed that me eating better, I felt better, and I thought it's a combination of stuff, but because of the shop and my family and all the things that I went to, I decided, you know what, man, it's time to see a therapist. I started seeing a therapist. Fast forward a little bit after that, I saw a sleep doctor, and I said, you know what, man, I'm gonna get my sleep under control. It took me about 30 days before I got used to that stupid mask, but man, I can't sleep without it.
Yeah.
Like I don't sleep without it anymore, man. I love that's if I have to pick my wife or my machine, I'm taking my machine. It's I can't like I've slept without it because I broke my mask one time.
Okay.
And oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't break it. I the first time I went to Hawaii, I forgot it.
Oh, okay.
I forgot the mask part. I brought everything but the mask part, and it took me for the first day and then the second day until I was able to go get one. So I 2 days without it, and I was like, oh my god, I need sleep.
Yeah. I have a buddy, it's the same thing, man. If he does not use that, he's just miserable.
It's a big difference, man.
Yeah.
And like I get dream now. Like people always be like, "Oh, do you ever dream?" I'm like, "No, I never dreamt. I get dream now."
Wow.
Like, yeah, man, it's a big. And then I started losing weight. Like, and at this point, when I started having those panic attacks, I was back up to 490 pounds.
Okay.
I didn't realize it, man. And people tell you like, "You how do you not realize it, dude?" Because I don't care. Like me being fat never stopped me from getting girls. Never stopped me from making money. You don't like how I look? Fuck yourself. I don't care. I'm not bothering you. I'm not bothering anybody.
Hmm.
Um, so, but after I started having those issues with with anxiety and stuff like that, I dug in really deep about my health, man. Like really, really deep and everything and how kind of shady our food industry is, and I hate how like. And this is going to be very unpopular, and it's no disrespect to like medical professionals or anybody like that,
Hmm.
but nobody was able to tell me what's wrong. And I'm like, okay, fine, you're having anxiety, I get it. But to me, I felt like my check engine light. That anxiety was my check engine light.
Sure.
So what's wrong with me? Like, why are you guys just my engine's knocking and you guys are giving me Lucas? Like, no, like I want to figure out what's bad. Which lifter's bad before it takes out my whole engine? Like something's wrong with me because yeah, granted, like and this is I speak for me and myself and my own experiences. I lived in one of the worst parts of Chicago. I've been jumped, I've been chased, and I was just like, whatever, man. So my anxiety isn't for me. I don't think it's trauma based like it is for some people because you have to know that not everybody's experiences are the same.
Right.
Right? Some people had trauma, and that's the reason why they have anxiety, PTSD, or whatever. Me, it just came out of the blue. Why? So
What did they suggest to you after all the testing, even though it came back like, hey, your heart's fine?
anxiety meds.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, they're like it's just anxiety, man. You're having anxiety, and I'm
Okay.
just like, man. So I remember like, and one thing about me, man, is good or bad. I've never shied away from talking about my experiences because I always feel like maybe it'll help somebody. My surgery, my gastric. Like I remember when it was a little bit more taboo back then. People were just like, "Oh, I would never tell anybody. Why are you telling people your business like that?" Because maybe people are ashamed about it and they don't want to do it, and they see me and it went well for me. Then maybe it'll help them.
Hmm.
I don't care. So the same thing with anxiety. I was just like, man, guys, like I don't know. And I remember in one of the groups, I can't. I really wish I remember who it was. Somebody posted a study in Japan about that processed foods, too much processed foods, have no nutritional value, and your body can't make its happy chemicals or stabilizing chemicals.
Hmm.
So I started eating better right up until my old man passed away, and that was in he passed away 21. He passed away in 21. Uh, Between 21 it wasn't too bad, but 22, man, I couldn't figure out for the life of me, dude, why my anxiety was so bad in 22. It was horrible. Like it was just one relentless journey after the other, man. And it was so bad that I got put on a heart monitor because one day I was just sitting chilling and I heard something, and I got a little jumpy. So I jumped off. I was laying down,
Mm-hmm.
and I just popped up, and I felt my heart just going drum 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 drum, and I'm like, holy shit, this is it. And I mean, I can say that now, but at the time, dude, like my heart was drum drum drum
Yeah.
drum drum drum
Yeah,
drum,
that's
like it was
scary.
like, yeah, dude, and then it literally like it lasted like 6 minutes. And so I told that to my doc. Luckily I was seeing my doctor at the time, but I was almost sure it was anxiety because, like, I don't know if you've ever had an anxiety attack, but when every time I have a bad anxiety attack, I get this weird feeling. I call it the hangover.
Okay.
I get this weird feeling that lasts like a day or two afterwards, like that I'm still unsettled. I think it's probably the adrenaline still in my body or whatever,
Yeah.
the unused adrenaline. And so I go see my doctor. I tell him that. He's like, you know what, man? Let's put you on a heart monitor. Let's just be safe, because yeah, he's like, I told him, like, listen, I timed it. Like we timed it from when it started to when I called my sister, because I was at this point I was starting to freak out.
Yeah. Obviously. I mean.
And 2 weeks went by. I sent the monitor in. Get a call from him. He's like, yeah, no, you have a couple like weird beats every so often. He's like, but nothing. And like I would, every time I would feel a certain way, I would hit the button. He's
Okay.
like, no, nothing, nothing. Like I was on it for 2 weeks, so I'm like, okay, man, what the hell is wrong with me? And that made my anxiety worse,
Right. Just
because
not
now I'm
knowing.
thinking people think I'm fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, what the hell is wrong with me? So then I remember I went to. I remember this is my vacations this year and everything else. Dude, my stomach was so bad. My stomach was so bad. Like I would have like I didn't know how to explain it, but I started doing some research and it seemed like I had some sort of IBS.
Okay.
So I remember I was eating good again right up until I had to go to Pittsburgh for a wedding. I go meet up PJ and Molesky, and that night I started feeling like shit because I had a couple beers, had some pizza, whatever. I don't even remember what I had, but I'm like, all right, it'll pass. I was a little anxious on the way over after I ate some, garbage on the road. We drove,
Yeah.
but I was anxious because I was in the middle of I was like on the edge of a blizzard on the 90, so I was kind of shitty.
Uh huh.
So I decided to cool it for the wedding. I didn't want to have anxiety or anything at the wedding, so I didn't drink. I thought alcohol, because I had a really bad panic attack at my high school reunion, which is a couple weeks before that. I was on the monitor.
Okay.
That's how I know my heart's fine, because that night I was like, dude, like I saw the report. I kept pressing the stupid button. I was losing my shit, and I told the wife, I'm like, man, like this fucking sucks. What the fuck is wrong with me?
Yeah.
And we at the wedding, I didn't drink any alcohol. I said I'm gonna avoid it until I figure out what's wrong with me. I just had a piece of meat and some veggies. I was having a great time. Everything was cool. These people in Pittsburgh have this fucking tradition of they have like this cookie table,
Okay.
and they have to-go boxes. So basically, you take your to-go box and then you fill it up with all the sweets and whatever. And I went to town, man. I'm a cookie guy, dude. I shit you not, man. 30 minutes later, dude, I'm losing my absolute shit, just sitting there. And I'm like, I start getting nervous, and this time I'm like, you know what, man, I'm fine. I didn't lose my shit, but bro, I'm just, I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, what the hell is wrong with me? And I did everything, and like we were leaving because we had to drive back the next day, so I cut it short, maybe 20 minutes more than I wanted to. So we just left. I walked to the car, got to the hotel room, felt better a little bit, and then I just started reading, and I'm like, you know what, man, maybe it's my stomach, man. Like maybe it's issues with my stomach. And so I started researching IBS stuff and what to do, and so I found some supplements, and I decided to do. It's called a FODMAP diet.
I
So
haven't.
basically, you don't consume anything that can irritate your stomach. No dairy, no chocolate,
Oh, okay.
no processed foods, no gluten. Basically, just proteins and veggies for 3 weeks, I think. And then after that, you start introducing one by one.
Okay, so it's like an elimination thing, and then you're trying to
Yeah,
figure out what's aggravating you.
yeah. Well, my stupid ass. I kind of I started eating better and I started feeling better, so I just kind of forgot. So then one day I get to a shop early. He was closed and I was really hungry. Like I was stupid hungry, and I ended up going across the street to a Wendy's and I had like a two little sandwiches and some like stupid maple sticks or some shit, some French toast sticks. Dude, I was diagnosing the card that guy's shop, bro, and I was losing my absolute shit.
Huh.
Dude, my anxiety was through, like my heart rate monitor was like in the 140s. Like, dude, I was losing it. Like I was like, oh hell no. I powered through. I powered through. I finished my diag and I took off, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And then it didn't hit me there. 2 days later, my guy brings some croissant sandwiches from Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
I ate two of them like back to back because I was really hungry for some reason. And that's when it hit me, dude. Like 30 minutes later, dude, I'm over here wigging I'm like,
Oh.
dude, it's food.
Huh.
It's fucking food. Like food is fucking with me. So I realized that what did I eat those few times, and it was gluten, like or heavy gluten meal.
Yeah.
Dude, I cut it out.
Okay.
That same day. I was like, all right, man. I finished this little stuff I had at the house. We gave some stuff to our family. I went and bought all groceries, and I went gluten free, dude. Bro, I lost like 40 pounds.
Oh wow.
This was at the end of last year till now. So yeah, I'm back at 350
Okay.
for the first time since 2016.
I'm really glad to hear that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't have an explanation because I asked my doctor and he was just like, "Well, if it's helping you, then just keep doing what you're doing." So I don't have any medical explanations of what's going on with me. And this summer I kind of like slacked off a lot because outdoor parties
Yeah.
and stuff like
Summer's
that,
the
and I was
worst.
cooking barbecue. Yeah, so I slacked off and I can feel it. Like I feel the anxiousness come back to me. So when I eat too much certain foods, it fucks with my anxiety. And a lot of people be like, "Oh, because you're thinking about it." No, I don't. I don't think about it. I can be here, I can eat something, and 30 minutes later, like I just start feeling it.
Uh huh.
But I know if I start right now, one of my biggest issues is I kind of get like heart palpitations, or at least I think they are.
Yeah.
But I really think that I'm just really out of shape, man. I did an ADAS calibration the other day and I woke up sore. So I'm like, you know what, man? I think I'm just, I think I'm extremely out of shape. So I've been power walking with my doggy every morning
Okay. Okay.
to try to get some until I can, and then after that I might just find a gym
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. Something to get the cardiovascular health back where it's supposed to be. Yeah. I can't relate to the anxiety attacks. I've never experienced the sort of thing that you're talking about, but I do know, once you transfer away from the really shitty diet, right, of just, I mean, what most people eat, right? Just a bunch of processed foods and pizza and chips and Pop-Tarts and, everything comes in a wrapper and everything. And you transfer away from it for a while for whatever reason, right? I'm just trying to lean out, just trying to be healthy or whatever. And then you go back to it. I'll never forget. I went to a fantasy hockey draft with a bunch of my buddies, and I had been eating really good for a while. I was really trying to be on it. And it was pizza and beer all night long. And I hadn't eaten that stuff in, I was like, 6 months plus. And I was so miserable for the next 24, 48 hours after that. It felt like I had just eaten a big ball of like goo, and it was like a 10-pound like bowling ball just sitting in my gut. And it's like, that was the way I used to eat on a pretty regular basis, right, for a long time. And you don't notice it so much when you're in it, right? But then you transfer away, you start, like, hey, this stuff's maybe not good for me, I should eat healthier. And then if you go back, that's like the really eye-opening period, which is like, holy cow, this this type of food is really not good for my body. Yeah, can I live on it? Sure, but is it healthy in any way? It's delicious in the moment, but it's just like that, immediate gratification for something that's just destroying your body.
And like, dude, I read everything now. Like, it's so disgusting how many ingredients there are in food, man. And you can make the case that that science has said that it's safe and science has said it's this. Well, okay, but at one point in time, science said it was okay to smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we haven't, like, this diet is new to us. We've been eating the same shit for the last couple thousand years until now.
We're running on really old software, and things have changed a lot in the last 100 years.
Man, like and then to be honest with you, man, like if I've been going deep into this food stuff, man, like really, really deep. Like, who told you that you can eat Doritos and Mountain Dew?
Those were
why are these foods banned in other countries?
Right.
Because communism? No, it's because they're not good for you. Like, we're not supposed to be eating you. But when you have organizations that like how are we okay with the head of the FDA used to work for Monsanto, like or stupid shit like that, right? Like that, and then there's so much, there's such a rabbit hole with this, man, and I don't want to go into too much on the conspiracy side, but for me, like, I can focus on me and my experiences and what I've done, but how come if I go to the doctor and he sees my blood sugar up and my cholesterol up, how come he doesn't tell me the truth? Hey man, stop eating this, stop eating that, stop eating this. Like, as for gastric surgery, they make you see a nutritionist. I never went back because it was out of pocket. It was like $200 every time I would see her, and I had to see her once every 6 months for like the first 3 years or some stupid shit like that. And I'm like, man, and I was telling her, oh, what do you eat? Oh, I eat a banana. Okay, don't eat a banana. Eat this. It was like some sort of 100-calorie snack from Hershey's or something like that.
Mm.
I'm like, how are you going to tell me that a banana that we've been eating for the last my people have been eating for thousands of years is worse than this thing that was made somewhere?
Yeah.
With God knows what in it.
Yeah. Well,
like,
it's the information that's been out there for a long time. Of like, you look at the food pyramid, you're right. I remember it growing up. That was plastered on the lunchroom at school, and like, this is the important stuff up at the top. And there's, as you go down, I guess the way I eat now, like, more of the stuff that's important to me now was down towards the bottom of the.
I haven't even checked the food pyramid now. Like, I know they.
Yeah, I don't know if they've changed it recently or
they
not.
They changed it. I heard somebody was talking about it and saying how stupid it was.
But that the foods that are out there right now, just in the grocery store, I feel like anybody should be able to go eat whatever they want. Honestly, like, people should be able to make whatever they make. Cheez-Its and Doritos, and that's fine. And people should be able to eat whatever they want, 100%. But I also think people should really be aware of what they're consuming. And for me, my perspective on it is these things are designed because I think it's just capitalism is the thing behind it. And don't get me wrong, I fucking love capitalism, honestly. Like, I don't want it to go anywhere, but because they want to make a product that you want to buy as much as possible of. That's the goal, right? And so they're going to make these foods delicious, right? A bag of Doritos, a box of Cheez-Its, freaking Pop-Tarts, whatever. Let's make them as good as possible. And they're also calorie dense, right? And they overcome any natural limiters that we might have when we're eating food, right? If you're just eating steak or vegetables or whatever, you're going to get full at a point and you've only ingested X amount of calories. Whereas if you're eating things that have been, hyper processed, it's salts, fats, and sugars that they're using, and you're going to overeat tremendously compared to if you're just eating whole foods. Right. And I think really that's just like the biggest thing that people should be aware of is like, okay, what am I getting when I buy that, that thing in that box or that wrapper that's got, 100 different ingredients. But if you look at the caloric value in something, I mean, you can go as simple as like obviously candy and stuff, a Snickers bar, but just like even a granola bar, right? You think, oh, that's healthy, right? It's got granola and it's got nuts and fruit in it, or like a bag of trail mix or something. But you start looking at the calories that are in it when they start adding the sugars and stuff like that. It's absolutely wild, and it's so easy to overeat when those things are added to your food.
It's food density for me. Like the more dense the food is, the less you need to eat of it, and you get your macros, your protein, your healthy carbs.
Right.
But like, man, it's so hard because, to be very blunt, we've just been programmed in this country real well to eat like absolute fucking shit and eat a shitload of it.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that's helped me a lot is fasting. Again, this is another rabbit hole thing that I did, but not for nothing, man. I feel better when I fast. Like if I when I go on vacation, and usually like, oh, let's go get some breakfast. Let's go get this. Let's go get that. Man, and like by 2 or 3 days, I'm just like, ugh. Like I just feel so tired and lethargic. But like today, I fasted till like 3 because I wasn't even hungry. Like I didn't even realize what time it was, and I'm just like, oh, I think I should eat. So I ate, and then that's it. Back to work. Like, for me, like I feel like the evolutionary, the way our bodies are built, like I think we need periods of starvation because that's how we've survived. I mean, not so much me, right? Because here's our problem too. Like, depending on what part of this planet you evolved on or your people came from, that's pretty much how your diet went. Like,
sure.
For example, I'm assuming you came from European descent.
Yeah, we didn't have too many bananas, so.
No, you guys actually starved more,
right.
Because nothing really grows in Europe. And actually, like I read somewhere that, a lot of European Americans actually have the genetics to process dairy.
Oh.
Because you guys,
sure.
You guys had cows, and that was basically what you had.
Yep.
On this side of the planet, like for example, in Guatemala, food just grows on its own. Bananas, avocados, not pineapple so much, but typically a lot of the foods that my Mayan ancestors ate, they didn't really have to cultivate. They cultivated corn, but the staple foods, the fruits, they grew them, so they never really starved. So that's why, like, when you see different genetic markers in people, like I read another article saying about blood pressures. A lot of white male Americans or people from European ancestry can actually live with higher blood pressures.
Okay.
But you can have an Asian, you can have a African American and a white guy, and you guys can have different blood pressures, and it'll affect you differently. Like Asians can have cardiac issues, African Americans have kidney issues. Those are the genetic factors for blood pressure and stuff like that. It's just like, man, it's just and it's one of the biggest factors is, how do we know we're eating what we're supposed to eat? And that's the question.
It's a tough question to answer.
How do deer know what they eat? How does the polar bear knows that he eats? You see what I'm saying? Like, and it's a rabbit hole. It's really fascinating to me, man. Like, I'm not an extremist by no bit, man. And again, this is me based off my experiences and based off how I perceive myself. But at the end of the day, it's like we everybody does what they feel is right to live their life the best way they want to, and that's totally fine.
But yeah, no matter who you are or what your background is, I think you should definitely be conscious of what you're putting in your body. And if you decide, hey, chips and candy bars and whatever, that's what I want to put in there. That's fine, but just like take some time to really understand exactly what that is.
See, my problem is this, man. The part that I don't understand is everybody's just like, when I went gluten free, all my friends, 'cause, I mean, I'm Hispanic, so I have a bunch of Hispanic friends.
Uh huh.
Like, oh my God, I could never do that. I can't live without bread, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, I don't even miss it. Like, I don't, it doesn't even bother me. I don't care
Yeah.
because I feel good
Yep.
and
Yep.
I feel fine. And here's the issue. And this is what people don't realize. Yeah, you're right. We're all going to go. There's nothing we can do about it. We're all gonna meet our maker or whatever you believe in. The journey there, though, I've known older Hispanics, that have had strokes, man, and they're paralyzed from one side for something that they easily could have prevented.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, which one is it? Yeah, I mean, fine, I can do all this stuff to live better, and then tomorrow, I'm walking under one of these dump shops that I go to, and his lift breaks, and there you go, I'm done, right? I don't know, but for me and for what's in my control, I've never felt so clear-minded in my life, and I'm talking about in my life. Because when I was in an elementary, again, school food isn't healthy. When I was in high school, my high school food was good. It wasn't healthy. When we had open campus, so what did we go get? McDonald's or Subway or fast food or
Yep.
Chinese food or
Yep.
nothing healthy. I've never eaten healthy in my life until now,
What
where I cook my own meals.
what would you say your diet mainly consists of? Now I know you said gluten free, but like what are you eating?
Yeah, I'm gluten free. I honestly, man, I don't deprive myself of anything. I just eat as natural as possible. For
Okay.
example, oh, but what about we want burger and fries? No problem. I make it myself though.
Okay.
I go get some high quality ground beef, and I make a patty. I cook it myself, and I chop my own fries. I air fry my own fries. It's like, yeah, it takes a little longer, but I fulfill that. Yeah, I want a burger, and then I know what's in it because if I go to McDonald's, why is it that I've seen McDonald's food 2 3 years old and it looks exactly the same, doesn't even stink?
Yeah, I've seen that before. It sits there and it's perfectly preserved.
Dude, it's disgusting. It's literally disgusting that we're eating it. And I mean, I did too.
Hmm.
I can't do it anymore. Like I have no. And that's one of the things I don't like about going to training events anymore. It's just that there's this time when I went to Vision, dude, it was hell trying to find something to eat. You know how hard it was going to Cincinnati's and not eating gluten, dude?
Right.
It was. I ate I ate vegetables. I ate vegetables. I ate a salad, and I ate some chicken.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean,
It is really difficult if you want to go out to a restaurant and then get something that's relatively healthy. There's places, obviously, and there's things that you can find on the menu, but for the most part, and especially if you go into just kind of an average joint too, right? Like if you go to like a Chili's or something like that, it's really tough to get something healthy there.
and that's another thing, man. Like I hate it. I've had people who ask me like, "Oh, what did you do? How did you feel better?" I'm like, "Oh, well, what do you eat in a day?" Oh, and I tell them, "Oh, I go with this. This is my favorite store." Oh, that's out of my price range. Okay, cool. How many times a week did you eat out last week? Oh, I don't know, like 4 or 5 times, dude. Before I went gluten free, this was this was last year still, probably in the fall.
Uh-huh.
I was really busy. I forgot my lunch, and I'm a feeder, man. So if I'm taking food to the shop, I have to make sure that my guy's okay. I had my little helper there, so I call him like, "Hey, bro, I'm like, what do you guys feel like? Oh, Burger King. All right, cool. I'll get you some. What do you guys want?" I ordered nuggies for me, man. Stupid 10-piece nuggets for me because I didn't really want to eat anything heavy or bread or anything. I just figured that was the best, at least per se, the best thing I found for me. I ordered a double Whopper meal with a Coke, a single Whopper, just a sandwich, and a 10-piece nuggies, dude. It was $30.
Jeez. Yeah.
I'm like, dude. So I took my right now that I went gluten free, I have a little disc, a fire disc, like a little disc, like a cowboy walk type of thing. Dude, I just bought groceries, man. I was cooking at the shop.
Mm-hmm.
I would make breakfast. I would spend $20 and I'd have breakfast for four up to four people.
Yeah.
So it's like yeah, no, we don't all have the same experiences, but my thing is like, dude, like a family of four right now to feed them some bullshit at Applebee's or whatever, one of these fast food chain joints, dude, it's $60 to $70.
Easy. Yep.
And it's not even food. Like it's not even great. Like
Right.
so it's like, dude, that's you do that 3 times a week, bro. That's almost $300,
Mm-hmm.
man. That's grocery money, man.
Yep. Yeah, you save a ton of money by shopping and cooking at home and bringing your meals if you bring
I don't know. I don't
lunch or
know
whatever.
if it's an American thing, bro, or if it's programming. But how many people like, oh, I hate eating at home. I hate cooking, and I'm just like, well, do you,
It's probably because you suck at it. That was me for
dude?
sure. But
I didn't know how to do shit, man. Like I'm a Hispanic male. Like we don't know how to fucking cook.
yeah, no,
I actually wanted to learn, but my mama just laughed at me. She's like, no, 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 your dad will probably beat me, so no. Here, I'll just cook for you. And I got with with my wife, and she doesn't really cook either. So we were eating out all the time. So I started with breakfast. I
yeah,
started making breakfast, got good at it. I started just experimenting, reading, and now I'm just like, dude, I, I, I go through phases though.
yeah.
Like this year was barbecue. One year was like was heavy into Asian food.
Okay, okay,
Was making my own like Chinese food,
yeah.
Korean.
I've been
I don't
doing a
know.
lot of steak lately at home. I was like I said, I never really knew how to cook or grill anything. But there's so
Same.
much info out there. Right? You can watch all these YouTube videos
Yeah,
on
man.
people.
It's for me. It's a lot of
It
fun.
is
And then like now I cook for a group now.
okay.
Like I can like I'll cook for a whole party. Like I threw one of my good friends. I threw him like a little birthday thing. I smoked a bunch of food. I made some sides, and
Nice.
everybody's like, "Man, this is great," and this is great. And I'm just like, so then like for my birthday, everybody was like, "Oh, where did you want to go?" I'm like, "Dude, I want to cook, and you guys come over." Like, "Oh no, it's your birthday." I'm like, "Dude, why?" I can just make something. And I feel better. I feel better eating it, and then I enjoyed it, and we saved money.
Right.
So
Do you know who
it's a win.
Robert Pleasanton is?
Bro, that guy used to post some crazy looking food, man.
I know, right? That's what I was just thinking of when you were saying
Yeah,
that.
that's my
Like
dude right there.
he would post these like gourmet meals. He got really really good at that cooking stuff. So I don't know if he listens to the show, but shout out to Robert.
You know who also got me into like smoking food or barbecue is Pedro Sanchez.
Oh, okay.
Man, he got me into smoking. I had some ribs at his shop one time. Woof. I was like, man. So I started off with like a little. I started off just buying little gadgets, man. Like I bought me a little Blackstone. I bought me a little electric smoker,
Hmm.
and I just started practicing. And now it's like, yeah, I love it, man. Like I today, like my mom, she went out of the country on vacation, and I hadn't seen her, man. I've been so busy with everything going on with me, and I picked her up. She came over, and I just made her some breakfast, and we just all hung out.
That's well, it could be a big bonding thing too, like you're talking about too. I mean, obviously you can go out to eat and hang out, but like actually making the food and eating it with people is pretty special.
And and like looking at my mom too, man, it was just no excuses either, dude. Like my mom used to cook for all. Let's see, and that's one thing. Like sometimes I'll see in the chats and people talk about like eating spaghettios or eating hamburger helper and eating like all this stuff. And even with my wife, like she used to like she introduced me to spam and corned beef, and I'm just like, yeah. She's like, you never had them? And I'm like, dude, like you don't realize my mom hated all this stuff. She cooked, and they call me like the most non Guatemalan guy
Okay.
because see my mom was her trade her trade is she's a seamstress, so she used to work for, I don't want to call them sweatshops, but they were like factories here, and but she used to work with all different ethnicities, man. So like, man, my mom used to just make all types of different shit. Like she never really cooked typical Guatemalan food. She would like, one day she would make cabbage rolls, she would make oxtails, lasagna, fried rice, and I'm just like I never questioned her.
Hmm.
Fried chicken, like she made a really good fried chicken. And when not too long ago, I'm like, you know what, man? How come you never cook Guatemalan food? Like you just cook all types of random ass shit.
Yeah.
She's like, because the ladies where everywhere I used to work, they would take food home. They would take food and we would just share recipes.
Okay.
So I just never wanted to cook regular food, I guess. I don't know. She's like, I just wanted to try something new, and you guys were like my little guinea pigs.
Yeah, oxtail. What does that taste like?
You never had oxtail?
I have not.
What?
Wasn't on the menu at the tipping household.
What did you grow up eating? Like typical American
Garbage.
stuff? Garbage?
Yeah. I mean, my mom would cook, but a lot of times it's like hamburger helper or something that came in the box. And no discredit to my parents. I don't want to put it that way. It's just like that's what we were presented with. And
Yeah.
they grew up in a time where, they never got to eat what they want. Right. They had to just kind of skimp by and eat that little can of Spam or whatever. And then now they're in a good position where they can go buy whatever they want from the store. And so, yeah, let's get the pizza. Let's get the box of whatever.
Dude, I didn't eat out. Dude, like for us when we were kids, eating out was a treat, dude. Like we never ate out at all. At all. Like I remember it was up until like I was starting high school that my dad would be like on a Sunday, he's like, you know what, I feel like let's order a pizza. Or actually no, let's go out to eat. Let's go to Olive Garden. Or let's go here. I was already damn near 18 years old. Like, oh no, I'm sorry. I was like 14, 15 years old when it started. And then like by the time I was 18, it was a little bit more common. But
Mm-hmm.
dude, it was like McDonald's was my for my birthday, dude.
Oh,
Like it was, we grew up like that. And again, the eating out stuff, it was just because it was just cheaper for my mom to cook. Like she cooked. Like I remember, like she used to work for a boutique place at one time up in like a really ritzy area in Chicago, the north side of Chicago. And the owner loved my mom because, yeah, again, like my parents were hustlers, dude. And obviously, like you work for richer people, they have more expectations, but they pay. So a lot of times they would have ladies with last minute requests or things that need to be altered, and they're like, "Oh, we need it now. Charge us whatever you want." So they would tell my mom, "Hey, you want some OT? Yeah, I'll take it." So my mom would stay late, and she said that the lady would always give her like a 20 out. Here's a 20. Don't go home and cook. Go buy him a pizza. Yo, my mom would still come home and cook, and she'd keep the money. Yeah, bro. That's my parents' hustle, dude. They sacrificed.
yeah.
They did everything the right way. So it's like I never experienced that, but like looking back, I never really had that. Like the whole processed stuff or the canned stuff or stuff like that. No, man, I was my breakfast, lunch, dinner. My mom always cooked. She always cooked.
Yeah, we had the boxes of cereal for breakfast, and that's one of the ones I look back on and I'm like, how is that just like accepted as a normal thing to eat a bowl full of sugar every single morning?
And fucking garbage, dude. And then people wonder why these kids are all wired
Oh
and
my
shit,
God,
man.
yeah. I mean, delicious. Don't get me wrong. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, like that's my jam, but it's it's so bad for you.
It's funny because like at home, like my mom, our breakfast would be like, you're gonna laugh, man, but I definitely had some Hispanic ass breakfast, dude. It was always like, it was either scrambled eggs or eggs scrambled with pieces of tortilla cut up,
Okay.
or eggs with fucking hot dogs, eggs and weenies, or
With the
it was always
macaroni and
eggs.
hot dogs, that was a staple for sure.
Yeah, so we that was our typical breakfast. My mom would always just fry us up an egg, and we would eat that, or occasionally she'd be like, she would make us sandwiches. Um, but we would go to school, and sometimes if we get there early enough, they would have breakfast, and I don't know, they had these things called super donuts,
Okay.
and like I'll still like if I see them, I still I still eat them, but Yeah, they had that with milk and or with cereal, or just maybe like a breakfast biscuit, stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah.
So nothing nothing good, man. Honestly, like our school lunch was
Yeah.
it was nothing but junk, man. I remember like sometimes it would be Salisbury steak, sometimes it's hot dogs, sometimes it's burgers, sometimes it was pizza.
Italian dunkers, and yeah, we'd get pizza almost every single day. I mean, you had options. I think there was healthier options, but
We
nobody
didn't have no
picked
options,
that.
dude. What they had is what we got when we were kids. When I got to high school, they had like our high school had the lunch kind of catered per se. So they had like a
Company.
line that had burgers, a line that had nachos, a line that had an a la carte menu,
Sure.
and then they had a vegetarian line. No, a pizza line.
Okay.
So that was our school. So it was a step above. But all the cool kids ate outside. So you had to go get that $2 daily double at McDonald's. So because my dad, I only had $10 to spend a week my sophomore year, man. Yeah, dude. Like we struggled a bit, man. Like I grew up poor. I grew up what I would consider. Realistically, it's not even poor. Like I didn't grow up poor. I grew up without the extras.
Hmm.
I had food, I had clothes. I didn't everything anything else that I wanted, I had to get. And I don't blame my parents for what I was, man, because to them I was living the life. My dad was 12 years old when he got his first pair of shoes. Like my dad, when you're talking about poor, my
Wow.
dad was poor. Like my father was poor, and they grew up really poor, and it was a typical Hispanic house where there were seven children, six of them were women, and only one man, and my grandpa. So they had a my dad, as soon as he was able to walk, man, he was working. Like my dad worked since he was a kid. So their diet consisted of they had cows and they didn't eat meat. They ate chicken once a week
Okay.
on Sundays. They had chicken soup basically, caldo de pollo. But during the week, it was just beans for breakfast, beans for dinner, beans with cheese sometimes, or beans and tortillas sometimes. But that was it. Sometimes he'd get some rice, but typically, man, that's all he ate. So for him, they didn't know any better. They just like, oh man, we made it. We're feeding our kids meat every day.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Even though we were shopping at Aldi. I don't know if you guys have an Aldi in
Yeah. We
Minnesota.
got those up here.
It's not as good as it is now. I'll tell you that. Back when we were kids, we used to have that fake cheese because it was 20 cents cheaper. So I mean, I can't be mad at my parents. Just like you, man. Like yours are opposite. Like, but in levels, man. My parents grew up like with nothing, and they were like really proud that they were able to give us what they did give
Yeah,
us.
yeah, I think that's exactly the same sentiment that they would say is like they were just trying to provide the best for us, and a lot of it for a lot of people when we're talking about these things, it's just knowledge about what this is, and even my parents, right, in the last 5 to 8 years, they switched over to like a keto style diet where they've eliminated a lot of carbohydrates out because they were both pretty significantly overweight, especially for their age, and they recognized it and the health issues that come along with it, and so they cut that stuff out, and it's again they're so happy with where they're at as far as losing weight and being healthier and stuff like that, and it just goes to show like you don't realize the stuff that you're putting in your body if you don't take the time to figure it out, and then you can end up in a really unhealthy spot because of it. So
Yeah, man, and I feel bad for this generation, especially like technicians, man, and the god amount of people who drink Monsters and Red Bull like it's water, and I don't know, I just dude, ever since I don't want to say I was a huge soda drinker, but I drank a lot of soda. I don't think as much as I don't consider myself a lot, and it wasn't like one of those things where I had to have soda. But no, I think I may have drinking at my highest maybe 2 to 3 cans of Coke a day.
okay.
Right? It's not little, but it's not like I know people who used to put in a 2 liter a day.
Oh, dude, I was addicted And I bet you can probably guess the pop I was addicted to because
Mountain Dew, probably.
yeah, not only that, it was the Diet Mountain Dew. It's like the whitest drink that you can drink.
You know who's addicted to that shit is, and I'm gonna hear it from him, is fucking Fanslow. Jesus Christ. We were in class one time and I saw a case of Mountain Dew and I'm just like, bro, you guys didn't buy enough Mountain Dew for all the white people that are gonna be there. And my guy's like, oh no, we're gonna be fine. Yeah, by break time it was gone.
Yep.
I was like,
yep.
oh.
I did give that up a few years ago because it's just it almost feels like it's addicting because I remember the day I was like, I'm gonna quit drinking this isn't good for me, and I'm like, oh wow, I really want one right now. That's weird. And so I made a pretty concerted effort and I'll buy the bubbly water stuff just to kind of.
Dude, when I give up gluten, man, I felt like a crackhead, dude. I was anxious every day for about 3 weeks, man.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean,
dude, it's wild, and you know, I was talking about soda, like because of gastric surgery, they tell you you're not supposed to drink alcohol or drink soda for minimum 6 months.
Okay.
So about 7 or 8 months went by, and cherry Coke is my shit. Like that was the soda that I loved drinking. And I had one with some food, and bro, like aside from the fact that I felt like my stomach inflated itself, bro, I felt sick drinking it.
Mm-hmm.
So I never drank it. I mean, I get a taste for it every so often. And I just tell my wife, "Hey, you want to share a soda?" She's like, "Yeah, okay." And I take like 2 sips, and I'm like, "All right, yeah." The taste leaves me, and then I remember why I don't like drinking it no more.
Yeah.
So, dude, all I drink now is either juice, like fresh squeezed juice from like a grocery store, like actual juice, not a pasteurized Tropicana stuff. No, I like from a juicer, like cold pressed juices. Or water, man.
Yep.
Or teas. That's it, man. I don't drink anything else. I can drink water all day long. I got no problems. I don't need any bubbly water. I don't need nothing, man. And I was a big beer drinker too. And right now that I gave up gluten, I stopped drinking alcohol. I had stopped before that because I thought that alcohol was making my anxiety worse.
I'm sure it wasn't helping. That messes with your heart rate for sure.
Exactly. So. Yeah, so aside from that, and then obviously the gluten that's in, because I'm a beer guy. I'm not really an alcohol guy. I was more of a beer guy. I just gave it up, and I don't care anymore, man. I take a couple seltzers here and there when I'm hanging out with my buddies or whatever, and I just 1 or 2, and I'm fine, man. Like I like where I'm at health wise now, and like I'm 39 years old, and I'm so like. I look at my vitals, man, and I look at where I'm at. The other day, I kind of felt a little off, man. I don't know. I had forgot that I had ran out of a supplement, and I had stopped taking it, and I forgot to order it.
Oh,
so I was feeling a little off, and I had forgotten. I'm just like, you know what, man? I feel a little flush, whatever. Let me see where my BP is. For shits and giggles, I just checked my blood pressure, dude. It was like 113 over 79 or something like that.
I'm always so bad with those numbers. I always forget what's good and what's bad.
So, like that right there, that number is for a very extremely healthy textbook number from what I've seen on the chart.
Gotcha.
Hypertension, if I'm not mistaken, is between 130 to 140 over like 90 or 100 or something like that. Yeah, I'm not super good with the numbers, but I know that my BP, my blood pressure was going up. Like I went to a couple of doctor's appointments, and they're like, "Yeah, man, if you don't lose weight, you're going on meds." So that was another reason why I kind of start cutting off some of the garbage and was to get my BP down.
Yep, that's I mean. You got to start thinking about that stuff, especially now, regardless of what state you're in or whatever. As you're like, I'm just a couple years younger than you, and you start getting up towards 40 and 50, and then they're like, okay, well, now I really got to pay attention to these things. I actually need to go get my blood pressure checked. Like, I need to have a physical, those sort of things. Because
And like I tell my friends because they complain about their kids, and I'm just like aside from the fact that you should lead by example, why wouldn't you want them to be healthier? Like, why don't you tell
yeah,
them stop eating this garbage?
yeah, right,
Like, what's so bad about telling like, hey, don't eat this? Oh, but in school they're gonna eat it. Yeah, but if you're showing them and then you're teaching them how to eat healthier, then it doesn't matter. Because I hung out in restaurants while I was first trying to give up gluten. I went out to eat with all my friends. Everybody was eating desserts and all this other stuff, and I had a salad and water.
yeah.
Doesn't matter. I still had a good time. Nothing changed.
I don't have kids, and so it's one of those things. Like, I'm speaking from the outside, but it always blows me away when I see somebody with a little kid. I mean, just a couple years old, and they're giving them some sort of like, yeah, crazy dessert or something that's just like just full of sugar. And I mean, not that you shouldn't let your kids have dessert or treat themselves, but that if that consists so much of their diet, right? That's now what they're going to be used to as they're developing as a person, right? And that's the sort of things that they're just going to want on a daily basis. You're setting them up in the wrong direction. But again, I don't have kids, so
No, I don't have kids either, but I've been around it and seen the outcome of when you worry more about leaving your children with material stuff than actual important things, and I feel like health is probably the most important thing. You can't buy it. Once it's
right.
gone, it's gone. It's not coming back.
Yep.
That's one thing about our industry too, man. Like, we don't like it. It almost seems people don't give a shit about their health in our industry, man.
We
Like, for
work
real, like
ourselves to
there's
death.
we work ourselves to death. You like, how many times have you seen people's, like, I remember, like, I don't know what one of the groups, like, oh, let's see that snack drawer. And there's nothing but cookies and cakes and chips and monsters and Red Bulls and nothing. Like, I've never seen a snack drawer that has an apple or some granola or
Mm-hmm.
something healthy.
Yep.
And like I said, man, it's either programming or conditioning, or maybe that's just how you want to live your life, man. I don't judge nobody. I can just speak on how I feel and how I live my life and how I want to live my life now.
Yeah.
And even like sometimes people will. I had a friend that shared some stuff about that 600 pound life show. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I lived it. I wasn't as bad as them. I still got up to do my stuff. But I came really close to being there. And some guy had the audacity to say some stuff like, how can you live with yourself that way? And how can you even like just not put a stop to it and say, enough is enough, and we're gonna do that? I'm like, dude, you've smoked a pack of cigarettes since I met you in high school. Why don't you stop smoking? I said the only difference is you can't. I said you can. Your addiction is irrelevant. Nobody cares if you smoke or not. But
Right.
people always want to make fun of fat people. I'm like, but it's the same. What's the difference between me and you?
Yeah.
You're smoking yourself to
Yeah.
death.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, and so many people they'll do these those types of things or just be unhealthy in general, especially when they're younger. And I can speak to this personally because you can get away with it easier. Not everybody, but you can. A lot of people can get away with it in their 20s, just eating like crap, not taking care of themselves, not sleeping, and you're more resilient. You can be fine and do your job good in spite of it, but that doesn't transfer 20 years
bro,
down
it
the
was
road.
so bad, man. I was so bad in my 20s.
Hmm.
I was horrible. Aside from my horrible diet and eating out all the time, bro. I used to party. I had a spot every night of the week. I had a spot every night of the week. Jesus Christ! I hope Dutch doesn't hear this, but how much money I used to spend on partying, women, alcohol. It's ridiculous. I could have, man. Don't get me started. Man, I don't, you know what, man? It happened for a reason,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
But yeah, dude, it was a total waste of time, man. It really was, man. And a waste of my health as well because obviously you're not gonna be healthy if you're drinking. I'm a beer guy, and what would I do? I would go to the shop, like the party section in my 20s was a couple miles east of the shop. There was a couple, and then in Chicago, most of the places close like at 4 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple times that dude, I would just get dropped off at the shop. Man, I'd open it up, fall asleep. My guy would walk in at 8 o'clock, and I'd send him to go to get some McDonald's. I eat and to work and do it again.
Sweat it off. Yeah. Yeah. Been there, man.
And do it again. Not a care in the world, man.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just like, if I don't drink enough water, I feel like ugh.
Yeah. Right. That's the thing. You recognize it more now as you get older. But think about like how much better you could have been at that point had you been eating right, getting enough sleep, getting enough water.
I feel like, aside from the physical stuff, like I destroyed my knees working on concrete, kneeling on concrete since I was little.
Yeah. When
I worked at the shop. Aside from that, dude, like I feel better now. This last year or so that I completely cleaned up my diet. I feel better now, more clearer, I have more energy, my thoughts are better, I can concentrate more. I'm not as easily as distracted. Like I've never had this before in the 39 years that I've been on this rock. I say 39 because I'm gonna enjoy that 3 until I can't. As I'm gonna be 40 in March.
Yeah, that is a tough one to look forward to. I wanna maintain it as long as I can too. But yeah, well, dude, that's thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, that's real personal stuff, and I really appreciate you sharing it with me. I don't care, man.
I've had people reach out to me, and I share whatever, man. I'm an open book. I don't care. As long as it helps somebody, man, then it was worth it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is that somebody else out there is struggling with something similar, and maybe afraid to talk about it or reach out to help or for help to somebody. And I mean, we're all going through something, and I really appreciate you sharing and talking about this stuff. It's a subject that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and I've done some episodes on health and exercise and that stuff, and not because I just want to talk about it, but like I really do believe that it can make a difference in people's lives if you put some effort and discipline into it. It should really change every aspect of your life. That's all it is, man.
It's just discipline. But real quick before we go,
yeah,
the one thing that I can tell you guys is that if you just stick to discipline, it affects the rest of your life in every aspect, your work, your career, whatever, man. But if you're disciplined to be able to control what you're eating and the whole like the social norms that we have now that go against being healthy and eating healthy, dude, the sky's the limit, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you, Tommy, for joining me and sharing that with everyone. Really appreciate it, and I really hope some people out there get some benefit from his journey and his experiences. But also like to thank everybody out there for listening to the show. All the feedback I get on the show, always appreciate that stuff. So keep it coming. But with that all out of the way, let's get out there, start fixing the world one car at a time.